Khomani!
What's up, brother?
How are you?
Good, man. No complaints.
Good. It's been a while, man. We um we just introduced you. We went to Kent together back in 2000, yeah, 99 to 2001.
Yep.
So, what, 20
Man, we're,
years? More,
we're old.
almost 20 years. And then we connected again when you moved to LA and I moved to LA. So that was good to reconnect after so much time.
Yeah.
But to just give a background, can you just tell us a bit, Kamori, of, what you do, what's your
Yeah.
profession and a little bit about
Definitely.
that.
So yeah, I'm a producer, camera operator, and a video editor. Are you gonna edit this?
Yes.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'm a producer, camera operator, and I also do a lot of video editing. I worked on films, TV shows. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff as well. So it's probably been about 20 years. Some of my clients include Time Inc., Essence, Google, VH1, BT, etc.
So big names, big
Yes,
boys.
sir. Yeah, man.
Yes.
So it's been good.
It is. And I think we connected recently. You're working on something that's fresh, like a new project that you're working on, something about high school diversity, along those lines. So can you just give us a little bit, not too much, but
Yeah.
what are you working on?
You know, you and I both went to the same high school, and people that don't know, boarding schools are, they're amazing. Boarding schools are great. They're a great place to meet a lot of people. People, like Omar and myself. I don't know how we would have met before, but we had an amazing experience. But at the same time, when you go to school with so many kids of wealth and of means, different things happen. Things happen on the sporting field. Things happen in the classroom. Things happen between students and teachers. I don't know. So, but bringing it from an African American perspective or a personal perspective, and yeah. So that's coming up next. That's what we're working on, and then stay tuned.
Exciting times. So when we first met, well, I'll give a little story. This is how I remember Komori. I first met you on the basketball court at Kent. And I was actually guarding you pretty close. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's no way this guy is going to get past because I'm really close. And you just crossed me. The ball was so close to you, and you just went cross and into the basket. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, man.
And then we connected right after that. So from your time, obviously from high school, and then obviously you went into your career and you got married, and it's been a journey. And
Yeah.
recently you had your beautiful little boy who's now one or almost one.
He's closer to 2 now. He's
Oh,
about
closer to two.
closing on like 20 months.
20
So
months.
yeah. His
So,
birthday is 11/22. So
okay.
so yeah, he has a birthday coming up.
So he's a Scorpio.
Yep, he's on right on the cusp. So but he has that Scorpio energy for sure.
Yeah, so he's welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. It's not a bad sign. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So then tell us a little bit about your transition. Like once you got married and once you knew you're going to become a father, and when you became a father, did your mindset change? Did priorities change? How did that change for you?
Yeah. I laughed at my wife just the other day. We were walking in the park, and I'm like, you think you're gonna have a kid and you're gonna feel different, and you think you're gonna be in your 30s or 40s and feel different. And it's like you feel like the exact same person, just with a child in a sense. So, I think it's the first change I saw was probably just in like your friends and who you
Right?
hang out with. Just because your single friends don't understand that your child is on a schedule of naps.
Right.
They're like, yeah, I can't go to the gym with you at noon because that's my son's nap time. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or hey, I can't go to the bar with you at this time because this is dinner time at 7:30 and bedtime is at 8. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I don't know, he might get up at the evening, so I gotta be here. So the first change I saw was definitely just your friends. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and I think your single friends are around when the baby first comes, but then they slowly trail off, kind of. so your friend circle kind of becomes other parents in a sense,
Right.
you know. And then we're living in Los Angeles now. We're actually moving to Atlanta soon, but because we don't have a lot of family around here, most of our interactions are with like friends, you know what I mean?
Right.
So not his like cousins or anything like that.
Right.
So we're hanging around a lot of other people who also have kids. So it's mostly about like play dates now, and
Right.
meaning, you know, it's like
Yeah.
trying to make sure the babies are tired and stuff like that. And I think sleep, you know, sleep definitely, the amount of sleep you don't get immediately forces you to realize like you become a parent. You know what I mean? It's like, because once you know the baby's coming, it's like you can have the nursery, you can go and buy the crib, and you can get 100 Pampers and you can have the baby shower. Those are the fun parts. You know what I mean? When the baby first comes, month 1 and month 2, month 3, you're like, okay, you know, all the fun, and it's fun. It's just like it's now serious. It's real. You know what I mean? And then to a certain extent, it's not really about the baby. Also, it's really about your spouse. You know what I mean? Like making sure that your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, the mother of your child, is okay. You know what I mean? Is she feeling okay health wise? She's feeling okay as far as up here, you know, as far as her like mental, how is she feeling like spiritually, you know, because a woman's body has just changed. A woman's body has just gone through this incredible yet very demanding thing, and we as men sometimes we don't, you know what I mean? Like we have no idea what this woman has just gone through, you know. So being as support, so seeing a change in my wife and realizing like it's up to me to be a lot more supportive for her. Yeah, she's strong. Yeah, she's an alpha woman. Yeah, she has it. But right now, it's like I have to have her in a sense, you know. So realizing that I need to step up. What was a big one, and then it's consistent step up. It's not just like I'm gonna step up now for a few weeks, and then you know what I mean. It's like this is 18 years, right? Like, oh, okay, this is
well, even it goes beyond 18, right? Because then it's another type of, you know, fatherhood after that. But no, you're right. It is obviously it's a commitment, but I think it's probably a nice commitment. It's you know, do you feel, Khomani, like obviously you've been through work, and you know, as an adult, things kind of tend to be a little bit more serious than when you were a kid. Does now being a father with a kid, and especially at, you know, almost 2 years old, does it bring you back down to those memory lanes of being a kid again? Because you can be silly and funny because that's what he wants. He doesn't want you to be serious. Do you feel that now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny. I guess we get to an age where like, and it's not for everybody, but we try to be cool or reserved or, you know, like there's a bit of a face we wear outside of the house, you know, or not, you don't know us, but with your kids, it's like that face is just gone. Like whether it's singing like Patti LaBelle ABCs like every single day, you know what I mean, or like watching the same things on Sesame Street, and like, but realizing that it's important to sing along so he can continue to learn words and continue to just be around. You know, it's like the quieter you are as a parent, that's less interaction for your child to understand words, to hear words, to learn them in context, whatever it is. So it's like, you know, singing the ABCs as loud as you can at the top of your lungs because it's fun. So yeah, it's just like that whole cool thing goes out the window. And what's cool is like your child smiling or your child laughing, or they're them going. So you know, the big change is like validation. Even, you know, I think as a filmmaker, you know, we're constantly seeking validation. You know, or as an editor, we're constantly seeking validation. As a person, you know, I work in corporate situations, but for the most part, I'm a freelancer. You know what I mean? So I'm consistently waiting on the next job. So there's a level of validation you're constantly seeking. with your kids, you give them a PB&J, watch some Sesame Street, and drink some milk. They're like, man, you're the best dad ever.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
And
that
just like,
simple. Well, at
yeah,
this age, it's that simple, and it gets a little bit more
yeah,
complex. But you now one thing is you run your own company, right? You're an entrepreneur. You're a freelancer. You run after your own work. Now, has that how do you for people who are looking to be maybe entrepreneurs and they say, well, I'm a dad. It's difficult or it's risky or I don't have time. How do you manage that? Like, how do you manage being, the best father you can be and then
yeah.
going after your dreams?
You know, I've been blessed to marry an amazing woman,
Right.
first and foremost. She's also self-employed. She's an entrepreneur. But she's incredibly, she's doing really well in her lane, and then, since I've been in LA, it's been really, really a smart move to have come out
Okay.
here just as an editor and as a filmmaker. This may be a cliche answer, but bringing on a nanny, to be honest, it's like, I think as being our age group and being like millennials, we think we can kind of get it all done,
Right.
but we don't take into account the village. The village is really important, and then I think being an entrepreneur, the village is even more important because you need that support. You need mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, aunties and aunties, especially if you're an
Yes.
entrepreneur. Like, you're gonna need that
Yes.
assistance because it's gonna be long hours. There's gonna be a lot
Yes.
of long nights and might be travel, whatever it may be. So, having help, honestly, having a resource that you trust, somebody that you trust with your kids, and that to us was probably the biggest form of support because it allowed us to continue to do what we needed to do, and we always knew that the child will be always pretty much taken care of.
Right.
It's interesting because the quarantine has been good because it's allowed us to spend a lot of time with him that we probably wouldn't have spent with him prior.
Right.
So I think going forward, what I would say, it's just about having a strict balance, having a strict schedule, and just knowing, like, these hours are for your children, these hours are for your kids, and these hours are for work.
Right.
And I think, that gives you the opportunity to, look, you're not going to catch everything. You know what I mean? It's just the nature
Yes, it is.
of kids.
That's the game.
Like his first step, like we have been trying to teach him to walk for a little while. And I think his first true steps were like with his nanny, like out somewhere, and then like she sent us the video. And we were like, great. Like he didn't walk again until like 2 months. So, and then I think we actually filmed that on video, and then we all had that moment, and it was amazing. But just as an entrepreneur, there's just certain things you may miss, you know what I mean? So I think long-term, and depending on where you are at, my other advice would be to focus on a business that gives you that kind of freedom. Even now, I've spent 20 years in film and TV, and I'm planning on making a pivot to where my wife and I just acquired a business on Shopify called Club Loofah. So we're selling premium bath goods, and then with her knowledge of social media and online marketing and my expertise in video and film and commercials and commercial content, we're coming together to create this new product and this new brand where we have an opportunity to do this full time, possibly get it acquired, and have to work 3 times less than what we were doing 5-10 years ago. And it's just like,
so it's smarter moves, right? It's smarter moves through experience of, how to, but it's all about, if you're an entrepreneur with that mindset and that, in the game for that long, you're kind of you're just trying to make it in that, as much as you can.
The one thing I will say, last year I started to bring on a lot more help also, just even within the company. So I had like two assistant editors. I had a couple of people helping me behind the camera. So honestly, there were times where last year I'd be home, you know, by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, hanging with little man, putting him to sleep.
Right.
And then and work, you know, there was work being done regardless of wherever I was.
Right, right. So, Khomani, one thing that's interesting is, at what age did you think, you know, as you were coming through Kent or high school and going into your, you know, to your studies into university, at what age did you say, you know what, I want to be in film, I want to do this, this is what I wanted to do in life? Or was it you're still kind of, you know, tumbling along and saying, I don't know, I don't know this? How did you figure that out?
You know, it's funny. I kind of just fell into this career. A friend of ours from high school, Ernesto, he actually lived across, where I was in Manhattan. He lived basically like across the what would you call it? Across the park, basically. You know,
Okay.
a short distance. So he and I became really good friends. And then during the summers, we would intern for his uncle. His uncle was starting a business, it was video production, whatever. So this is probably like 99, you know, 2000. After Kent, I had gotten into a bunch of schools: Penn State, Howard, Hampton, some Syracuse, another school in like Rhode Island, but my financial aid was all messed up. They kept, after leaving Kent, I actually got into a bunch of colleges, but they kept claiming that my mom made too much. So I kept having a lot of issues with my financial aid. And for some reason, I didn't really have any interest taking out loans at that age. I don't know why, but I was just like not into the idea of taking out loans.
Maybe the smartest idea, right? That you didn't.
I mean, you know, for me, it's 50-50 as I look back now, but, you know, maybe I would have preferred to have the college experience. You know, maybe I would have preferred to have had those, that like network, you know, because a lot of my network now is still based around like high school or friends around that time.
Right.
So I think that's the one thing that I do regret not going to college, because you miss those, you know, you miss 4 to 8 years of additional relationships.
Right.
And those relationships carry you on through the rest of your life in a sense. So, but yeah, after Kent, I was kind of back in the city, you know, so that was not what I was expecting to do. So I didn't really have a plan. So New York has a bunch of schools, a bunch of community colleges, and my mom had went to Medgar Evers. So I don't know why, for some reason, she pushed me to go to Medgar Evers, and I was kind of like, all right, cool, whatever. Medgar Evers is a nursing school, and Medgar Evers is in the middle of Brooklyn. You know, not like, you know, downtown Brooklyn. It's like
real Brooklyn.
Central Brooklyn. Yeah, it's real Brooklyn. And this is like, you know, 2001.
Yeah, it's not so now the artsy.
Yeah, there's no arena, there's no blades, there's no nets. It's Brooklyn.
It's Brooklyn. Like, I got it.
Beef patties, and so it's in a heavy Jamaican neighborhood because it's a nursing school. I'm basically in a school with like all my like Jamaican aunties. You know, it's like 40-year-old women and 50-year-old women who are going to school to become nurses. That was not my idea of what college was going to be. You know what I'm saying? So I did my time there. I did a year there, and the whole focus was transferring back to like one of the schools I really wanted to be at. Kept having problems with financial aid, kept having money issues, and then by that time, I was pretty much working full time back with Ernesto's uncle. So by this time, you know, I'm shooting, I'm editing, I'm filming parties for P. Diddy and like Russell Simmons, and then I'm doing content for Fat Farm and Baby Fat. I'm kind of like, man, this is it. This is, you know, like I'm 18 and seeing all these things, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this because this is clearly where I need to be. You know, I probably did that for about 6 to 8 years. We did a lot of great stuff. The one thing I regret is not having the base foundation of the understanding of certain cameras, or you know what I mean? It was like you can jump in and get your hands dirty. You're always going to be missing a certain level of technical expertise, knowledge, and
Right.
terminology. You know
Right.
what I mean? So whether it's scrims or diffusion or f-stop or, you know, distance, barn doors, different kind of lights and HMIs and HDMIs and halogens, it's like I'm still learning that now after 20 years. You know what I mean? So those 8 years were great. I learned a lot. I grew a lot. And then I think after that time, I went on to BET. I was at BET on and off for about 2 or 3 years. After BET, I did a bunch of reality content. I probably did reality TV for about 4 years. Reality TV is kind of where I learned a lot more about being a video and TV editor at that level. There were different expectations, there were different commitments and different pay. So that was pretty solid. After that time, I think I went back to BET for a certain amount of time. And then after BET, I did NFL Network, Good Morning Football. I was doing NCAA games on the weekends. That was really cool. And after that, I moved to LA. LA's been a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of producer content. And LA's been great because of the level of knowledge out here. Like people
Right.
out here are just experts in their fields, and you just kind of get all that knowledge, you know, just being on set.
Quickly.
So 20 years in.
So a journey. So
Yeah.
so Khomani, what I mean, obviously your kid now, you know, is growing up and so forth. Any concerns like in this day and age that you have as a dad, right? That you want to kind of make sure you keep an eye out for.
You know, I guess my wife and I are we're not overbearing. I just know we're going to be very, we're going to be paying attention.
Right.
Like to every little thing. And even now, at his age, at this point, we're just focused on the small things. You know what I mean? Like vocabulary, colors, whatever it may be. So I think for now, as long as he's healthy and happy, we're okay with that. As he gets older,
is screen time an issue, Khomani, do you see? Like the amount of content out there, like, you know, is it something that you're concerned about? Because kids, unfortunately, they just kind of levitate towards screen time and content and all of this kind of stuff.
You know, it really depends on what you want to do as a parent. You know, because we're such busy entrepreneurs, sometimes it's easier for us just to let him watch Sesame Street for an hour, you know what I mean? And then it's interesting because like there are certain shows that we'll put on and we'll see actual growth. You know what I mean? He'll be sitting there like, and he'll watch the show for 25 minutes and he's like, A, B, F. We're like, whoa, like, you know, and then even now, like as we talk, like he's repeating words. We're like, thank you. He's like, thank you. You know, we're like, oh man. He's like, oh man. Like he's learning and growing every day. But we do also like when he's eating we don't have the TV on. We probably take him to the park every single day, you know, and then I think that's just the LA thing. Like it's 70 every day. Like, yeah, we're in quarantine, but parks are still open. So you know, we're taking him outside as much as possible, taking him to the beach to get some time out there. He has letters and blocks and things like that. We have like the super big blocks that he plays with. He has a basketball hoop here, you know, like there are some days he'll dunk like 25 times straight. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, he's tiring himself out. He's playing, you know what I mean? And it's like cool, like
That's
good,
what I think. That's the whole thing is playing. He's like, you know, you have like this deep sleep, you have deep play basically, and you just want him to be dabbling in every
Yeah.
and I'm guessing like on the weekends, because that's when it's a little bit of downtime for you and your wife, is that's where you really kind of get to, you know, play with him those extra hours as you, right?
For the most part, I mean, you know, we're both self-employed. So
Well, there's
we
no
really make our own
downtown really.
schedules, you know?
There's no
Yeah,
downtown.
yeah, it's literally like 24/7 downtime with 24/7 work. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's weird. Even today, it's like I'm working all day, but I have him all day, and it's like things are still getting done. He's cool, like I'm cool, like, and it's we're just doing what we have to do, you know. And then
Just
it's been about 2 years now, so I think we've gotten into a bit of a routine. And it's funny because we actually had him in daycare for a bit, and when he was in daycare, we had like all this free time. We were like, whoa, like what do we have our date? Whoa, like, what do we do with all this time that we have again? So, you know, screen time is really an option on the parent. You know, it's like
right.
there are times when he'll come out of his room after a nap and the TV is not on. You know what I mean? And then like, so he kind of knows like, you know, here's some blocks, here are your toys. Like, and the older he gets, the more he's playing with more of his toys.
Right.
I think sometimes as parents, we get these toys, and we want them to immediately start playing with them, and they're like, you know, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the older he gets, the more he understands like how his cars work and you
Right.
know
Right.
how certain things work. So now he might play 2 hours straight without even looking at the TV. You know, but if he is watching the iPad, it's letters, it's
Right.
colors,
So it's more
it's some
educational.
kind of educational.
Yeah. It's more
Everything,
education.
everything he's watching is educational.
Right.
Yeah,
It's more
'cause
educational.
if it's not, he probably won't even watch it. He'll grab the remote. He'll be like, you know, like if it's not educational, he'll literally come up to us and be like, "Here you go. Like,
Change it.
I'm not watching this.
Right.
Yeah, like you can change this, please." Like, so.
So
Yeah.
the last thing we, you know, I wanted to touch on, Komori, is we obviously you're doing hopefully a whole show about, you know, being in a private school, but from a different kind of vantage point, from different people with different backgrounds, and obviously culture and different backgrounds recently has come into the limelight again. It's been a problem obviously for years, I think, all over the world, but it's really come into its own right now. And I think, you know, we've discussed this on many, you know, levels before, but I think what would you do like now for, you know, bringing culture and bringing acceptance of different, you know, differences between people, you know, the way they look or the way they speak or different cultures? How would you kind of bridge that gap or educate kids at this young age, so 20 years from now we are not in the same issues that we are now?
Yeah. You know, I mean, my biggest answer would probably be travel. You know, I think travel forces you to adapt. You know, it forces you to understand. It forces you to respect wherever you are. You know what I mean? And then typically it's like you want to learn more about the culture you're around or you're traveling amongst. You know, so I can't just travel like that. I definitely understand, but for me, I would probably say this: people to understand each other better is just to travel. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like we live in such a polarized world right now.
Yeah.
You know, like up is down and down is up and right is left. It's like no one's happy about anything. You know, so it's like just giving your kids those experiences. You know,
Yeah.
just letting them like see for themselves and make their own determinations and just travel. Because it's like if you're traveling, you're probably not caught up on the news. You're probably not, you know, you're probably not like reading. You're just kind of like trying to be immersed in the experience
Yes.
of whatever it is. So I think for us, hopefully, travel will help educate our, you know, our child and our children in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Other
um
experiences, other races, and yeah.
and I think as you said, travel, and maybe as they grow, if there was something that, you know, that can be created where, if travel is not necessarily available all the time, at least that, you know, kids can interact with each other from all over the world, understand different
Right.
cultures, like have a chat. It's like going to Kent, but without the burden, that financial burden down the line. You know, why don't we start early and kind of, you know, kids talking with each other from different parts of the world and just understanding.
Yeah.
I think maybe that could be a good option until, you know, they reach an age where, you know, yes, go ahead and travel the world, experience and eat different foods and meet different people and enjoy
Yeah.
and accept and so forth.
I agree. Yeah. There's some sort of online option where kids can just meet each other, pen pals. You know
Pen
what I mean?
pal, digital pen pal.
Yeah. And it's just weird, you know, online has become a place where people of like minds just share their own personal opinions, and you know, it's like people aren't willing to hear other opinions and other, you know, other points of views, and it's like, yes, I think travel, just get out of where you are and see something else, meet other people, and just like become immersed, and you know, that way you have the opportunity to gain more respect about whatever culture you're
Yeah,
in. So
yeah.
yeah, but that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I mean, no, the world has not been able to figure it out, but I hope that we can maybe do our part as
Yeah,
parents and hope for a better, you know, future for the boys and the girls of this generation.
I agree. Yeah, man.
Kamori, I thank you so much for coming to that talks. You've been really great. It's great to connect with you again. And
Appreciate it, man.
yeah, and we're wishing you all the best.